Um, he has gotten 7 or 8 years older, I believe, in the time. Uh, and I'm not sure if he will. Don't feel bad if he doesn't remember your face. He said he's been to like 600 congregations in his time working for the relief effort, and of course, he'll tell you all about that. So he'll be speaking to us for Bible class time, as well as the lesson this morning. As far as announcements and prayer requests, I think everybody knows about Derek. Um, Last report that I had, they had a good night last night. Um, Still has low oxygen levels, but good night last night. So that's answered prayers. Keep praying for him. Are there any more announcements or things to add to the prayer list? Okay, let's have a quick prayer before we hear from Dwayne. Father in heaven, we're grateful that we're able to come before you this morning and worship and admiration of you and thanksgiving for all the ways that you bless us. We pray now for our loved ones who are struggling, especially Derek and his family. Pray that you continue to be with him, strengthen him, give the doctors wisdom and judgment in that. Pray that you would be with all those who are suffering. As this morning we think about those struggling in disaster, especially. We pray that you would guide us as a congregation and as individuals in the best way that we can help out, Lord. Pray that you would be with us as we strive to apply the lessons learned this morning. Pray in your Son's name. Amen.
Good morning. It's good to be back with you. I was here 7 or 8 years ago. You probably don't remember me. I was young then, and I'm older now. But my wife is also with me. She used to didn't travel with me that much. But as I've gotten older, I need her more to travel with me and take care of. For those of you who may not remember me, let me introduce myself. I'm originally an East Tennessean. We live in Charlestown, West Virginia. We've been there since 1989. And that's Charlestown, not Charleston. Charlestown was founded by a fellow by the name of Charles, named it after himself. Since he was George Washington's youngest brother, I guess he was allowed to do that. So used to be a lovely place to live, laid back, rural community, quiet, until the folks who worked down toward the city discovered it. And everybody's moving out there. We've lost our quietness and lost a lot of other things, but we got a lot more people and a small town with traffic jams. You can believe that. I preached for 40 years, served 4 different congregations during those 40 years. We were in Martinsburg, West Virginia to begin with. Then we moved to Seaford, Delaware. Then moved to Lynette, Alabama to refine the Southern accent. And then came back to Charlestown. And back in 2005, a lot of storms are taking place. Disaster relief is being worked overtime. And talked to Joe Dudney. And Joe said, if you want to come working for us, we'd be delighted for you to do that. So, made a commitment with Joe. I don't know how you do it today. I haven't been hired for a job in 20 years. But the way Joe did it was, I think you're a person that will do what we want you to do. But if it turns out you're not, I'll give you 3 months' notice and we'll shake hands and still be friends. He said, now, after you do this and you decide this is not what I want to do. I want to go back into full-time preaching. He said, again, we'll shake hands. Give me 3 months' notice. We'll still be friends. No contract signed, just a handshake. Well, that's 20 years ago. This month, you're the beginning of my 21st year with disaster relief. The last 20 years of the pulpit preaching, I made 43 short-term mission trips. One of them went to Dominican Republic, 2 to China, 17 to Jamaica, 23 to Cuba. And I noticed in your bulletin you had, remember the folks in Cuba and Jamaica, Hurricane Melissa hit them hard. And I know that folks are already beginning to get help to Jamaica. It's easier to do it there than it is to Cuba, but there'll be those who'll be able to get help into Cuba as well. So just keep those folks in your mind, and I have good friends in both places. What we're going to talk about this morning is Churches of Christ disaster relief effort. I want us to watch a video first, and after that video, you get to listen to me. Can we tune it up?
We've all been overwhelmed at the scene of destruction in the county and primarily in the city of Gatlinburg.
Cell phone video shows flames surrounding a driver evacuating the area of Gatlinburg, Tennessee, late Monday night. Fire threatened to block off the only road to safety.
Go, 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 go.
At one point, at least 30 structures in Gatlinburg were burning.
We're just now beginning to assess the loss of structures and the general conditions throughout the area.
High winds caused the Chimney 2 fire to descend on surrounding towns.
Now the Churches of Christ disaster relief effort is standing by, ready to send a truckload of equipment and supplies to those in need over in East Tennessee. And I mean mobilized, because they can be there within about 4 hours. They said they can have this truck packed and ready to go within the hour and on its way out to East Tennessee. So right here, they have cleaner with bleach, cleaning buckets, and these boxes are filled with food that can feed 300 families. We've got brooms, we've got wheelbarrows, everything that they would need potentially out there to at least start to rebuild.
We're here this morning to load 1,300 food boxes at Churches of Christ disaster relief effort. Our purpose is to follow the example given to us in Acts 11, where it talks about disaster relief in the first century and about the famine and all the food being given by the brothers and sisters. That's what we're trying to do here.
Whether it's a flood, a tornado, a hurricane, an earthquake, or a wildfire, when disaster strikes in the continental United States, the Churches of Christ disaster relief effort is ready to respond. Truckloads of emergency food, water, and other supplies are sent to congregations for distribution to victims in the disaster areas.
I don't know how you go on. I mean, I'm sure you will, but I mean, look at this. I mean, there's not a wall.
So many struggling to try and pick up the pieces.
When you see the school, you know, just by looking at this building, there are victims inside that school.
Our facility here in Nashville at 410 Allied Drive, we have a little over 86,000 square feet of warehouse. Because of the contracts that we have with the many vendors that we buy from, we can stretch the donation dollar. We can buy, for every dollar that we receive, 3 to 4 times what you would buy at retail prices. This makes us very efficient in what we're sending out. We have approximately 200 to 300 volunteers here today. Before we're loading food boxes, We call over 600 people in the Nashville area, and with a 1 or 2 day notice, 300 or more will show up. That's what makes us successful, is our volunteers to do anything we need. Even our truck drivers are volunteers.
Well, help is on the way from Nashville to Florida residents still struggling in the wake of Hurricane Hermine. The Churches of Christ Disaster Relief Group has a truck on the road right now and is heading from Nashville to Perry, Florida. Help is on the way in the form of an 18-wheeler loaded with supplies.
The tornado area, they don't need the bleach. But in a flooding area, they need the bleach to kill mold.
There is breaking news in an unfolding tragedy in West Virginia. At least 20 people are now confirmed dead in a catastrophic flood disaster, the worst in 100 years.
These boxes and this relief stuff, because we were able to get it so quick, we were able to become a center for distribution in our community. I appreciate Disaster Relief's role in that, helping us to be able to do that. It's overwhelming.
We have thousands and thousands of dollars worth of supplies, prepackaged, ready to send out to a local congregation to turn over to your leadership so that you can help your neighbors that have been devastated by the disaster. We don't send the people. We leave the work up to your local congregation.
The winds have really picked up here on Long Island. The rain is pelting us. This is the same storm system that caused those deadly tornadoes down south, and it's already proving deadly for this part of the country as well.
High winds tonight battering the East Coast. A fast-moving nor'easter whipping gusts of up to 60 miles per hour, toppling streetlights in New Jersey, flinging trees into homes.
It brings to mind one congregation in Bayshore, New York, the Long Island Church of Christ. They had requests for over 100 Bible studies. That's what this is all about. It's another tool for the local church to reach out to the lost. Some people are most receptive to the gospel when they're down and out. This is one of those times.
It was a large tornado that tore through New Orleans east, destroying several homes.
That's when the roof went flying and
Cheryl McBride took cover in the bathtub.
As soon as I got in, stooped down, the roof came off, things started flying. I just asked Jesus to cover me, don't let me get hurt. And the next thing you know, here we are.
The tornado left a trail of destruction, ripping off roofs, toppling trees, and downing power lines.
You don't have to pass the hat to collect your money first. We've got the supplies ready for you. All you need to do is get in touch with us. Let us send them to your congregation. You go to work and save the lost.
5 men located throughout the United States are available to share the mission and purpose of the Churches of Christ disaster relief effort. Dwane Casteel serves the northeastern part of the country. Ken Lowry is available for service in the southeast. Dennis McClintock provides information to the central states. Brian Spicer serves the south central part of the country. And Dale Lindsay provides information to those in the west and northwest.
I'm Miguel Almaguer in Southern California, where the strongest storm to pummel this region in years brought record rainfall, mudslides, and a flood of water rescues.
Tonight, the destruction in Mississippi is overwhelming.
You could hear like glass shattering. You could hear the roof caving. I feel like I'm lucky, I'm blessed to be alive.
In 2 days, the path of destruction spreading over 550 miles.
And I thought we were going to die last night.
Including through Polk County, Tennessee, where Jennifer Young, her husband, and 2 sons barely escaped.
Ringed up my husband saying, there's a tornado coming, there's a tornado coming. Get the kids, grab the kids.
Wind just came out of nowhere and just blew it.
17,000 acres here burned. Jerry Morgan lost all her mother's keepsakes, including photos, treasures that took on extra meaning after her mom died recently from cancer.
All of her china, all of her silverware. Everything's gone.
As you notice, when you make a video, they become dated real quickly. The beginning of that video with the fires, that was the fires down the Smoky Mountains in the Gatlinburg area a few years ago. Talking about on Long Island, that was Sandy several years ago. But the video still gives a picture of what disasters are and how we respond to them. The 5 of us scattered around the country, plus the folks in Nashville, keep an eye on the weather system all the time. We want to know what's happening. And if a disaster strikes someplace and it doesn't make the national news or the National Weather Channel, we may not know about it. So everywhere I go, I try to remind people or inform people, should you have a disaster strike your community, don't wait for us to call you. Call us, and we'll respond very quickly. Most of the time we call you. The problem we have with that is in so many places the church is small. I worked down in Kentucky. We had a lot of flooding down in the mountains of eastern Kentucky back in the spring. All the congregations, or almost all of them, were very small. Don't have secretaries. So you call the landline number of the church building and hopefully they at least have an answering machine. But I've discovered some churches don't even have that. You can't leave a message. So we have to just keep calling, call somebody, tell me someone over there that I can call directly. And we get a hold of people so we can respond. Sometimes there's not a congregation in the town where the disaster took place. And we're only going to ship supplies to Churches of Christ. That's who we are. That's where our funding comes from. That's who we want to minister to the people in the community. But sometimes there's no church in the community that suffered from a flood or a tornado or whatever it may be. So then we start calling who's near. And we find another congregation that said, we'll go over there and we'll minister to those people. An unusual disaster happened up in Ohio a couple of years ago. Remember the train wreck, the chemical spills, and the town of New Palestine? There's no congregation in New Palestine, but there's one in Christiana. And so we call those folks and say, they tell us they need water there. We'll ship truckloads of water if you'll find a place to unload it and if you'll be there to distribute it. And they said, we'll do that. And we've done that with other disasters. Several years ago, had flooding in West Virginia. Little town, Rainelle, doesn't have a congregation. The folks in Beckley said, if you'll send the supplies down there, we'll find a place to unload it, a place to operate out of. And they did that, and we still minister to those folks. So we just want to get the supplies to people who have suffered a disaster and they need it. Last year, we probably all think about the Hurricane Helene. From northern Florida through Georgia, the Carolinas, East Tennessee, into southern Virginia. That storm hit. Now, we only have a staff of 9 people in Nashville. Our staff is 9 people in Nashville. We have 4 men who work the warehouse and they do secondary things. We have 3 ladies who are secretaries. We have Mike and Ron King. These 2 guys keep everything going. But you know, those 9 people could not have sent out 23 truckloads in 25 days by themselves. So we rely upon volunteers. As in the video, when they pack the food boxes, Mike said maybe 300 people will show up. As one of the major disasters a couple of years ago, so many volunteers showed up on the day that we're packing food boxes, they had to turn people away. That's good and that's bad. If I'd driven 50 miles to pack food boxes and I got there and they said, we already got more people than we have room for and we can safely use, come back again. That might discourage me. But at the same time, isn't it wonderful that so many people turn out that want to volunteer? And by the way, if you'd like to go down to Nashville and volunteer, take a group down, take your family down, take the youth down, whatever it may be, just call the office. There's material on the table out front, has phone numbers and our website on all of that. Just call and say, here's what we want to do. Help us work a schedule out, and they'll do that. Don't just show up with 15 people, especially right now. You realize we've not had a hurricane to hit this country this year? Very, very unusual. Not a one. There've been other disasters. There've been tornadoes, there've been floods, and different things. Right now, one of the things we're working on is up in Alaska. You read about the storm that hit at these Native Alaskan small villages. They're scattered, they're isolated. The only way you can get to them is to fly in or to go by boat. Down the coast from where those storms hit, and I don't know whether you're going south or going east, but anyway, on down the coast a ways, you come to the town of Dillingham. A lot of people had never heard of Dillingham until several years ago they heard of Sarah Palin. Her husband was from Dillingham. It's a very active place for salmon. Used to be large canneries there. And the salmon would run and they'd catch them. Well, I have a nephew that lives there. And he says, the only way you can get to our house from Anchorage is to fly in or to go a roundabout way by boat. I remember a few years ago, their son bought a new truck and they had to bring it in by barge. Now you have roads, once you get there, you just don't have connecting roads to the rest of the country. And that's, for us folks, that's hard to comprehend. But whatever the situation is, we want to work with it. So Dale Lindsay, who lives out in Washington State and covers the Northwest, he's been trying to contact the church in Anchorage because they evacuated about 1,000 people from those villages to Anchorage. And they're going to be there all winter long. And then they're going back home, hopefully. Well, they're going to need some assistance now. And so we're trying to work something with the church in Anchorage to do that. Not only now, but when those folks go back. When there's a disaster, we call the church, do you need help? Sometimes they say no. It's not that bad. The community can take care of it. But other times they'll say, the devastation is so bad, we're going to need a lot of help. We're going to need it for a long time. Okay, we can load a 53-foot trailer. You have one of our model trucks out there that I left with you the last time I was here. Load that 53-foot trailer with relief supplies. We can have it on the road within hours. I used to tell people we can have it on the road within 24 hours. No, it's within hours now. And you need a place where it can be unloaded. You'll need volunteers to unload the truck. And then once it's unloaded, the driver will get back in it and he'll go back to Nashville. We have delivered relief supplies for the local congregation for them to minister to the people in their community, their neighbors, their friends, their relatives, whoever may have been affected by the disaster. On that truck, we put about 300 of those food boxes they were packing on the video. Those boxes will weigh 60, 70 pounds, feed a family of 4 for about a week. And we put water on the truck. Almost every disaster, the water system is affected. So we put bottled water on the truck. We put cleaning buckets with cleaning supplies. We put additional bleach and detergents. We put mops and brooms and shovels and rakes and wheelbarrows to help clean up after whatever kind of disaster there has been. We put baby boxes on. You know, if you have a baby and a disaster hits your home everything got burned up, blown away, washed away, that baby still needs to be taken care of. So we can provide the baby boxes for an emergency until you can get better organized. We do the personal hygiene boxes the same way. Everything in these boxes are good for male and female. Had a friend of mine call me from Tuscaloosa. He's a native of Jamaica. And he's wanting to know, what do we put in our supplies? Because they were wanting to help in Jamaica. And I told him, and I mentioned the baby boxes. He said, oh, I never thought about that. Baby's got to be taken care of. We also put, with hurricanes and tornadoes, put a lot of tarpaulins in. With floods, a lot of box fans. We put new sheets, new pillows, new blankets. All of these things, new shoes, new clothing. And almost every time there's a major disaster, somebody will call our office and say, you know, we've got a closet full of clothes. If we bring them to you, will you put them in the truck and take them to wherever you're going? And we say, thank you for having a good heart that wants to help people, but we will not ship used clothing. All the clothing, everything on our truck is new. Nothing is used. And we want things to be such that people can use it and it'll glorify the Lord while they're doing it. So that truckload 20 years ago used to have a financial value of $35,000, $40,000. Now the value is like $70,000, $75,000. I know a couple of years ago inflation spiked and we all got excited about how inflation jumped. Well, inflation's been with us all the time. It just got a little worse for a while. I was telling Betty, I love Snicker candy bars. She does too. I don't have to buy her a box of candy, just buy her a Snicker bar. And I was in the grocery store checking out and the candy there. And I looked at that little Snicker bar is 99 cents. I'm telling my age now, I used to buy it for a nickel. That 5-cent candy bar is now 99 cents. Oh, it took 80 years for that to happen, but it happens. So when we load a truck, it just costs more to load it than it used to. Well, I've been rambling here and there and nowhere. You might say, well, Dwane, where are you getting it from? Where's the scripture for it? Mike made reference to it in the video in Acts when the famine hit. And the folks in Antioch of Syria, when Agabus came and visited with them with some other prophets and told them about the famine that's going to take place, it's going to affect the whole world. And as this young congregation, they determined whatever ability they had, they were going to help the folks back in Judea. This is found in Acts 11, verses 27 through the rest of the chapter. So they took up their contribution. They gave it to Silas and Paul, or Silas, Barnabas and Paul, and they carried the money back to Judea. That's basically what we do. Now, in the beginning, back in 1991, when there was a disaster, some folks from Nashville would drive to it if it's close enough, or if they needed to fly, they'd fly there. They'd meet with the leadership of the church. They'd survey the situation, and they'd get the checkbook out and write a check for ever how much they could afford to write. It wasn't long till they discovered that's not the best way for us to do it. Because sometimes the things that are needed are not available. My brother lived near Cawson, South Carolina a few years ago. Well, it's many years ago now, when Hugo hit. And he said, because electricity was out, everybody's wanting ice to try to preserve what they had in refrigeration. He said that $1 bag of ice, if you could find it, would cost you $10. Now, somebody's taking advantage of the situation. I don't like that, but that's people. A lot of times it's not available, or if it is available, the price goes up. So we know what's going to be needed. We buy it ahead of time, and we can deliver it. Much better than going and writing a check. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not opposed for you sending money to churches where disaster takes place. There's many times that's needed. It's needed for various things. But for us, the best way of doing it is take contributions that's given us. We increase the buying power of it 3 or 4 times. We buy the things that are needed, and we deliver it real quickly so they can begin to minister to the people. Let me give you an illustration. I cover the state of Michigan. Up in upper northern Michigan, a town, but I call it Gaylord. I'm a Southerner. It's spelled Gaylord. They don't call it Gaylord. It's Galore. Well, anyway, they had a tornado. Never had one before. I called the preacher. How bad is it? Do you need help? He said, we really don't know. But by Sunday, we'll know what the situation is. Our elders will decide if we need supplies or we don't. So I'd been somewhere on Sunday to speak, just like I'm here this morning. And I'm driving home. About 3 o'clock in the afternoon, my phone rings. It's the preacher from Gaylord. How soon can we get a truck? 3 o'clock. I said, well, I've got to call somebody in Nashville. By the way, our warehouse, our facilities are open Monday through Friday. 8 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This is Sunday afternoon. We're not open. I said, I'll call Mike Lewis. I'll give him your phone number and your name, and Mike will call you, and you two will work the logistics out. So Mike called him. They worked it out. Beginning at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, at 6:30 that evening, truck left Nashville going to Michigan. In 3.5 hours, by the time we got a phone call. How do you do that? Well, we have truckloads of supplies pre-staged that can be loaded quickly. But Mike had to call somebody that works in the warehouse to come to work Sunday afternoon when he didn't expect it and load the trailer. He had to find a volunteer truck driver on the spur of the moment. All of our truck drivers are volunteers. Volunteer truck driver is willing to leave Nashville that evening, go to Michigan. Somebody had to do the paperwork. I don't know whether Mike did it or he got a secretary to come in. But anyway, there's paperwork to be done as well. And all of that was done. The truck was on the road within 3.5 hours from the time the church says, send us a truck. A few years ago, they had a lot of tornadoes out in Tennessee, Arkansas, and particularly in western Kentucky. They happened on Friday night and Saturday morning. Saturday afternoon, our first truck was unloaded in Mayfield, Kentucky. That's how quickly we can respond. We want to get things to the church to where they can help people as soon as they can. So I've only got 10 minutes. You have questions, comments? And I'm going to have to come to you. I'm hard of hearing. Even with a hearing aid, I can't hear.
Sunny day before the storm event occurs, that you get a truck on the road in 3 hours, we're ready in 3 hours to take that truck.
Yeah, you got to, and again, so many places that we go are small congregations. They're buildings, you can unload a truck. They got to find a place that they can find, or they can use. I know at different times in different places, they use volunteer fire departments. With major disasters, school is not in session. new school buildings, community centers, and find a place where it can be unloaded and they can operate out of. If you're really in the game, when you know that disaster's coming, you start thinking about, if we need help, how are we going to do it? Other comments or questions? Well, we've delivered supplies to people. We've helped them in their time of emergency. They're repairing their homes. They're finding another place to live if their house is destroyed. And they lost everything. So we encourage people, the church that we send supplies to, we send some forms. Ask people what they lost and if they have insurance. Oh, we lost our appliances, we lost our furniture. Are you insured? No, we're not. And if the income is below a certain level, we can provide the appliances and the furniture and the beds. That's up to the congregation. They got to do their homework. Now, the reason for the form is you ask people the first time you help them with a food box or cleaning supplies or a baby box or whatever it may be. You ask them to fill out the form, what did you lose? We cannot replace what you didn't lose. You know, if you didn't have a clothes dryer, we can't replace it. Now, that may sound cruel to some people, but we got to be good stewards of what we do. So if they lost a washing machine and a clothes dryer, if they lost their water heater, if they lost their refrigerator, if they lost their range, then we can replace that if the church does its homework. What to do? They follow up, compile a list of what they need, the families need it, give us a call, and we order it out of Nashville. We pay for it when we order it. It's delivered to you. Then you contact the people that need it. We got your appliances, we got your furniture, come and get it. I had a lady tell me she had a brother that for some reason he just did not like Churches of Christ. And she told him that this disaster said, they're going to send some new appliances. He said, yeah, they'll send old beat-up used appliances. Of course, when the new ones arrived, she called her brother and said, come over here and help us unpack these used appliances. And they came over and they were all new. And he just couldn't get over it. Other comments? We will help the church as long as they need it. 5 years after Harvey hit Houston, a family finally got their house repaired to where they can move back in and they could live. They needed appliances. The church contacted Brian Spicer. Said, Brian, we need some appliances over here for this family. Brian calls Nashville. 5 years after the hurricane, we're still helping that church to help a family. I know I'm forgetting something. I'll think of it tomorrow. Seriously, do you have any other questions or any comments on what we do? How many companies do y'all deal with? Get your supplies. I'm sorry? How many companies do you deal with getting your supplies? Is there like a top 10? Or? Okay. We own our trailers. We lease 3 tractors. I call them tractors from a leasing company. And when Helene hit, and we had truckloads going out one after another, and they were hard to get to some places, we also shipped some things by a trucking company. And we couldn't have gotten 23 trucks out in 25 days if we didn't do that. A few years ago in Louisiana, we were sending trucks down. We go down one day, unload, come back that day, load it again, and the next day it goes back. Well, we had flood in Trenton, New Jersey at the same time. And I told Mike, I said, we need a truckload of supplies. But I'm not willing to take 2 truckloads away from Louisiana for us to get 1 truckload. So it's going to take them 2 days to drive to Trenton, 2 days to drive back. Or going down to Louisiana where they were taking things, is 1 day down and 1 day back. So we decided the most feasible thing to do so everybody can still get their supplies was to hire a trucking company. And we hired one that had 2 drivers, and they got up there pretty quickly and unloaded the supplies. Don't like to do that. We like for our truck to be on the road where people can see that truck going down the road. Churches of Christ disaster relief effort. It's a rolling billboard, but sometimes we're forced to get some other help. Anything else? On October the 23rd, got a text from Mike in Nashville. Said, since 1991, our beginnings, they went back and did some research, got the calculators out and did some calculation. We had shipped over $205 million of relief supplies. Think about that. $205 million plus. No government assistance. I was surprised the other day and I saw an article on the internet. Samaritan Purse is very active, but I was surprised they got financial help from the federal government on a lot of what they do. We don't do that. We were able to do that through the generosity of congregations and individuals. Now, we do get a little extra. You may work for a company, corporation that will match your donations, so we get some matching funds that way. A few years ago, that company, Amazon, that shows up at a lot of people's house every day with a package, they were donating 0.5% of sales if you listed us as your nonprofit you'd like for them to receive that 0.5%. That's an awful small amount. But you think how much people order from Amazon? We got several $1,000s. Didn't ask for it. That's just a program they started, but they ended that program because it was not doing what they wanted it to do. But almost all of our donations come from congregations and individuals. And I like to tell people when it goes in our bank account, its buying power is tripled or more. You got 2 minutes. We helped several years ago in a small town in Alabama, tornado, very destructive. Sometimes later, a lady called our office from Atlanta. She introduced herself and said, that town, I grew up there. I still have relatives that live there. And they told me what you folks did. I want to know more about you. So Joe told her, and she asked a lot of questions. And she said, well, okay, I appreciate your time. You may be hearing from me in a month or so. About a month later, one of the secretaries come into Joe's office and said, do you think this check is good? He said, put it in the bank and we'll find out. It was the largest individual donation we had ever received. This lady was not a member of the Churches of Christ, but we helped her hometown, and she became our greatest one-time donor. Now go to the other end. I was at a congregation one Sunday, and after services were over, this little petite elderly lady comes out and she says, "Hold your hand out." Okay, let's put them together. And she dumped a couple of handfuls of change into my hands. She said, "While you were making your presentation, I was going through my purse, because when I buy something, I get change back, I just drop it down my purse. So I fished out all of the change. Can you use it for disaster relief?" My first thought was the widow's mite. It may have been accurate, it may not have been. She may have been the wealthiest person in the congregation. But from that small donation of pocket change to the largest single donation, it all goes for the same purpose. Thank you.